Welcome to the GYSGYB show from the sales organization and myself, Andreas Iatridis. I'm really happy today to be welcoming Ari Pournaras from Big Pond Digital, a digital marketing agency based out of Ayr in Scotland. This effectively is the first of our founder interviews, which we've been putting together for quite some time. I'll be very honest with you, this is not the first time Aris and I have had this interview, and we're hoping that this time it's going to go very well. I've known Aris for many, many years now. I think it's about 20, just probably approaching over 20 years. And more recently, though, after being made redundant last April, so not that recent anymore, time does fly, I had the opportunity to work with Big Pond and kind of help out with some of their outbound prospecting and targeting new business. So for the first time, I'd say I was exposed to SEO, PPC, all that digital marketing piece. And I can definitely see the value it adds to businesses, especially from a sales perspective. So in today's interview, we're going to be talking about Ari's background, how he got into digital marketing, and we'll move all the way up to how Big Pond came to be. We also want to have a look at the types of businesses and industries Big Pond service, as well as some of the key issues and how brands perceive digital marketing. And finally, we'll wrap up with key considerations on why and when businesses may want to explore digital marketing services, such as those offered by Big Pond Digital. So with no further ado, I'd like Ari to introduce himself, give us a bit of background, kind of the early days from 2012, all the way to the setup of Big Pond. So welcome again, Aris. Thanks a million for your time. Really happy for you to be on the show.
Thanks a lot for having me, man. This is probably my first podcast ever, so quite excited. My name is Ari Pournaras. I'm the founder and managing director of a digital agency called Big Pond Digital. We're based in Ayr, Scotland, and our core focus is search engine optimization, but we also do a bit of PPC alongside that too. So yeah, we're at the moment 10 staff. So pretty small outfits, but we work with a lot of different companies of various sizes, different industries, and just all over the world, from smaller businesses to global brands in several different countries. So for a small agency, we actually have quite a lot of reach and some impressive clients too.
Brilliant. Yeah, so it sounds like kind of a wide array there, from your local businesses all the way up to global brands. And I suppose I'd be kind of curious to see, how did you actually land into the whole digital marketing space?
So yeah, I've pretty much been into this since 2008. So graduated uni, got an internship for a local agency, worked there for 4 years, did really well, learned quite a lot, surrounded myself with people that had 20, 30 years experience in the field. And from then on, worked for another company in Glasgow. From both of those two businesses, I actually got made redundant because this was after 2008. So quite a lot of these companies generally companies were struggling, facing financial difficulties. So after the last job that I had in 2012, I got involved with affiliate marketing. So I was out of a job pretty much on the dole for about 6 months. And I decided to borrow 800 quid from my parents to buy this domain that I saw online.
The domain was 800 quid.
It was 800 quid. It was a premium sort of name. So it wasn't, new, it belonged to somebody. And it wasn't through escrow either. So I had to blindly trust this guy that was actually going to sell me I had to send the money first and then wait patiently for about a day to actually get the domain. But he did actually send it over, which was good. And I set up a website, just like a basic website, started optimizing it. And at that point, I was trying to make rent. I was on the dole. that type of thing. And within a couple of months, I remember I made my first commission for $200.
Nice.
Then about a month later, it grew to 2,000 or roughly 1,800 or something like that.
Nuts.
And within 2 to 3 months, we grew to about 20 to 30 grand a month, just from that one website.
That's crazy money. Crazy money.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going from not even making that in a year to actually making that in a month was pretty crazy for me. And that sort of like launched me into starting a business, because it hadn't really crossed my mind before that point. So we did the affiliate marketing thing. In 2013, there was a massive, 2014, I think it was, massive Google updates that completely annihilated our rankings, because like it was pretty much black hats and gray hats what we were doing up to that point. So we had to like rebuild the website and learn from the findings from that algo update and do that. And at the same time, we actually started taking on clients, so almost like introducing like a second branch to the business, so affiliate commissions and then your clients too. And that was like a really good period for me, because like I learned quite a lot through that time. I learned how to actually look at algo updates and reverse engineer what happened and apply the learnings. So it was like a big learning curve for me.
I think if I just stop you there for a second, it is a point. Just on the value of SEO, as a business, I might be a small business with one-man band. I might have 500 employees, but to constantly keep up to date with what Google is doing and revamping and changing and recalculating, to ensure that my site is always on the first page, or at least, on the first bunch of results, and at least tracking for the right keywords. That's kind of, from what you're saying there, granted 2014 was a major change. It seems like a kind of a never-ending task, really. Yeah, because I know recently as well, last year, I think they're now changed again, looking more at user experience, user search experience rather. So there's always this kind of fine-tuning going on in the background.
It's constantly changing. I mean, there's a core update algorithm that actually launched just there in March, and Google is moving towards the search generative experience, which is basically going to blend AI results into search. So that's going to be pretty big. That's just around the corner.
Is that with their own AI, or
who knows? We'll find out.
Because I know their own AI didn't do too well. I had some funny a few things.
Exactly.
So Gemini's offline at the moment.
Yeah. Well, this is more. It's going to blend results from platforms like TikTok and other sort of like social channels. Reddit is obviously quite a big one. So, for example, if you Google a recipe, the first result might be like a video or a TikTok or something else. It's not necessarily going to be text-based results. So
continuous shifting towards video, virtual images,
absolutely,
kind of articles and websites, for example.
Yeah, exactly. All kinds of content.
So tell me about Bones. When did that get established, and how did you come up with the name?
So obviously affiliate marketing and client work led me to the point, I believe it was 2017, 18. I got to the point where I had too much work on my hands to be able to manage it myself. So I decided to go for it and launch an agency and launch a brand, because up until that point, I had several affiliate sites, maybe a few clients, and then I had an umbrella limited company, but there was no brand. So at that point, I decided, let's launch a brand. Let's actually go for it. And the name Big Pond came from, I had several terrible names, and I decided to I went for Big Pond. It's the whole big fish in a small pond concept.
Yeah.
So that everybody, every single business, whether you're small or global, you want to be a leader within your fields. So therefore, you want to be like a big fish. But big fish in a small pond was a bit of a mouthful, so we basically shortened it to Big Ponds, and that's the concepts behind it.
I can completely relate to that. I mean, from a sales point of view, and having thousands and thousands of sales conversations over the last 20 years, a lot of these brands, particularly around startup land, they're all trying to carve this niche out for themselves. It might be a same solution, but just with much better feature functionality. You mentioned brand name as well, so absolutely critical in getting your brand name right.
Yeah.
I've come across many businesses with very bizarre brand names that don't really resonate much with what they do or make much sense. So I can definitely see how that aspiration to be a big fish,
Yeah.
the brand part is important, but then it's making that brand visible online and obviously to grow brand awareness.
Exactly.
So with that, how did 2023 wrap up, and what's 2024 looking like at the moment?
So yeah, 2023 was quite a challenging year, not just for us, but for a lot of agencies. There was quite a lot of layoffs, and agencies maybe struggling a wee bit with actually landing new clients. But that was across the board. I mean, I've been speaking to quite a few larger agencies and agencies that are pretty much like our size, and that was pretty much the case. But towards the tail end of Q4 in 2023, we managed to, like, all our efforts paid off, and we managed to actually grow annual revenue by 40%, which is amazing. And that actually led us into Q1 of 2024 being busy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a busy Q1 for sure.
Brilliant. No, that's excellent. And it seems like the seagull was very enthusiastic about your performance.
Very, very enthusiastic. There's one seagull trying to get into our office right as we speak.
Trying to break in there, wants to sell some SEO itself.
We are basically at our office is very close to the beach.
Okay.
So you can actually see the water. So a lot of seagulls.
Yeah.
Kicking about.
I'm familiar with them from Dublin. So, of course, all of this boils down to leads, right? For salespeople, we want inbound leads. We want to have great conversations. We want people who are generally interested in buying, or at least being entertained or educated about what our product or service or solution could do for them. And ultimately, good SEO, good PPC helps guide quality traffic to a website, I think one thing which I've noticed with a number of startups, I'm not going to generalize, because I'm fair, is if we go back to the early days of the internet, and that acronym, the advertising acronym ADA, building attention, creating interest, creating a desire, and then bringing it to action.
Yeah.
Internet back in the day, websites were mostly informational. It's really kind of a point for advertising your brand, your services. Obviously, there'd be emails. I could reach out that way, or I could just call you, and book an appointment or find out a little bit more.
Right.
Today, it's just completely automated. It's much, much more sophisticated and complex to a certain extent. But it seems that, for any business, first off, you definitely need a decent brand. You need a website. In my last podcast, I mentioned, if you have a business and you don't have a website, you don't really have a business. And I think some of your clients who are local, even they are spending money on SEO. So at least these people are glued in, and they know and recognize the value of what that brings. In terms of, I think one of the big things is sustainability, consistency. So with that, I'm just curious, with the split between local and global, what are the key industries and markets you're currently servicing?
So key industries would be iGaming, finance, travel. And when it comes to local, it could be absolutely anything, from accountants to dentists to home improvement companies, you name it. We've probably worked for that. We've probably worked because we actually used to work for the council too, and now through a program called Digital Boost, they used to send us loads of different types of businesses. So we probably worked with I'd say probably over 400 types of local clients,
So there's
or
kind of
businesses.
total support to encourage businesses to be more digital.
Exactly, yeah.
Very
But
good.
when it comes to like the bigger clients, iGaming is a big focus for us. Finance, all the competitive ones, because like that's really my background.
Yeah, and clearly with the referral marketing back in the day, affiliate marketing rather,
Exactly.
and I think the space you were involved with there was kind of gambling and getting
Yeah.
traffic to online gambling sites.
Sports
So
books. Yeah. A lot.
take a lot of expertise, a lot of analysis to be able to ensure that that traffic's going in the right place, right?
Yeah, sure. And these guys spend crazy amounts on marketing. I mean, to give you like a typical example of a sports book, what they would spend on PPC, they could be spending $250,000 a month just on ads, on Google Ads.
Yeah.
It's that competitive, but also very, very lucrative,
Especially that sector, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the advertising budgets for those types of companies are just, it's
Insane.
radio, it's TV, it's online, it's social, it's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
When I was doing a little bit of work for you there a while back, a lot of businesses are speaking, they're like, oh no, we're all right, we have somebody in house, or we're looking at other areas. It's kind of in between those who are doing something and then looking at tools like SE ranking or SEM rush. It didn't seem like they were doing that much. And as for those who weren't doing anything, it's blatantly obvious, right? It's non-existent on the internet. Now, on the one hand, it could be a very new site that's just been launched, okay. But on the other one, it's fairly kind of, you've been in business 5-6 years and their stats are just, just barren. It really does boggle my mind. So one question is on, like, if I'm the CMO in one of these businesses or I have some kind of responsibility towards sales and marketing, what do I need to look at to make sure that my SEO and PPC, if I have an in-house resource, is paying off?
So tracking would be a major one. So you obviously want to measure marketing activity in general, regardless of the channel. So you want to have the right tracking in place, whether that's Google Analytics, Search Console.
Mm-hmm.
You need both, and also you need third-party tools too to actually, measure your visibility in Google, measure the keywords, how you're actually ranking over time, and how that's increasing.
Yeah.
But the combination of those tools give you like a clear idea on how you're performing and how to do areas to improve and what to do better going forward.
You think it's a matter of time, like people don't look, or people just don't know what to look at?
I think it's a gap in education. Obviously, it's SEO is quite a difficult area for like people to understand. Compared to advertising, with Google Ads, you spend X, you make X. I think the best thing that SEOs can do to make their life easier is to actually start speaking in business terms instead of speaking in SEO terms that confuse everybody. So to the business owner, regardless of the size, at the end of the day, it's all about, I spend X, I make X at the end of the day. And if they want to dig into it a little bit further, then you can actually give them reports on all the SEO metrics and anything else they actually want to include.
Cool. Then, of course, on the flip side, you have brands who don't really seem pushed at all. And I was wondering, because I've had this happen to me, and I'm sure you have as well, if it just has to do with the perception that people have about SEO in the industry.
Yeah, unfortunately, the barrier to entry is actually quite low when it comes to SEO. So anybody can go online and claim that they're an expert. And you get a lot of that. You get a lot of companies that, for example, would advertise packages starting at £200 a month that get you absolutely nothing. And they tend to, it's a sales process for them. So they tend to like mass email 3,000 people, one of them will buy it, or maybe like a few of them will buy it, and that's how they get the sales, selling really terrible SEO. So if it is too good to be true, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That's one of the things that I'd say.
I'd say as well, like as for a salesperson, and some of my first podcasts around qualification, really be sure to ask and grill those people around what they're offering, how it works, any proof, have they got any other customers, happy customers, that they could be possibly reach out to or get a reference from or something like that.
Exactly. Good SEO takes time and it's expensive. It's not cheap. You're investing in building more evergreen results instead of paying for the click, and then once you've with pay-per-click, although it can be really profitable and it works, once you've spent that budget, it's gone. With SEO, you invest that budget in advance and it takes time. Once you actually get there, you're going to get a lot more ROI from that compared to like other channels.
Yeah. So it's definitely a very specialized service that does require expertise and definitely a hands-on approach to really managing a brand's website, a brand's presence online, to make sure that it's staying relevant really to those who are looking for it.
Exactly.
One thing I was trying to explain to some of those brands I was speaking with was it's not so much the people who are aware of you, because they'll just Google your brand or log onto your website. It's the whole on the market that's unaware of you or looking for something that you offer. And that's huge. That's a huge opportunity, right?
Absolutely. It's all about the people that don't know about your brands. You're trying to appeal to new customers and convert them essentially.
Exactly. So just before we're wrapping up, I was reading a few articles ahead of this interview just around what the focus is for businesses. And the trend is still kind of around cost reduction, but also growth. And whilst companies are still laying off people, that trend unfortunately has not slowed down. They are laying off people, I think, mostly in kind of marketing and sales areas, which obviously are huge cost centers, but without which performance, is impacted. In your experience over the last 12 to 14 months, what are you seeing as key reasons where brands are signing on to Big Pond or even some of your counterparts in Scotland?
You're absolutely right. That's actually what we're seeing. Brands are trying to, when times are tough, brands are try to like reduce their costs. They tend to actually cut out marketing. They used to do that, but we're not really seeing that at the moment, and I'm hoping that it continues. They might be cutting out areas of marketing that are more related to, appealing to like a broader audience. But when it comes to what we do, it's performance marketing. So we connect them to the audience that's looking for those solutions, if it's like a service business or e-com or whatever it is. So they're going after a more targeted approach rather than a broader sort of marketing channel, if that makes sense. That's what we're seeing. And it is a cost reduction, but it's actually placing money into something else and trying something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And, obviously I might be slightly biased, but I think if you have cut back your marketing significantly, or are looking for alternatives to keep that pipeline fueled with inbound leads, the cost of what Big Pond does, in my eyes at least, is very, very reasonable to keep fueling the sales engine, the marketing engine, keep the revenue flowing in. It is, I think, one thing, obviously, sustaining your online brand presence, growing brand awareness, being able to expand into new regions as well. And I know you have one client that's expanding across Europe, and they've contracted with you, which is brilliant, in the iGaming space.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add before we close off?
I think it's what you said. a lot of brands at the moment are maybe, because the times are actually tough, they're trying to maybe reduce costs, but you need to have some sort of like engine going when it comes to your sales and your prospecting. And I think SEO, it might not be for everybody, but it's certainly like something that works for a lot of brands out there, whether it's like SEO or PPC. And if you haven't looked into it, maybe it's something that you can explore, give it a shot, and see how it goes.
Or better yet, just get in touch with yourself. And
Get in touch. Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. So, Ari, thanks a million for your time today. That was great insight, and I even learned a couple of new things as well. So if you want to reach out, anybody out there who sees this, hello@bigponddigital.co.uk, and our website is www.bigponddigital.co.uk. And that's it. So thanks a million again, and I'll keep everybody posted on the next founder interview, and if I have the time, because I've actually signed up a few clients now at this sales organization, which is brilliant.
It's always good.
But I'm very sure we will have our second founder in the next month or thereabouts. All right.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, man. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.